Kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch the full lecture. Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, let us discuss about the macroeconomic effects of GST in India. Means after the implementation of GST in India, what and all the effects it is having on the macro economy. So in my last video, I have explained about the India's adoption of GST. If you have not watched that part 2 video, please watch that part 2 video. Then watch this part 3 video. Now, macroeconomic effects of GST in India. A country's GDP. GDP means gross domestic product. That ratio is a very important indicator that helps to understand how much tax is being collected by the government as compared to the overall size of economy. Now in a country, the GDP is very much important because based on the GDP we will get to know the what is the amount of tax we are collecting and what is the proportionate of whole economy. ಒಂದು ಕಂಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಜಿ ಡಿ ಪಿ ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಓವರ್ ಆಲ್ ಎಕಾನಮಿಯ ಒಂದು ಸೈಜ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದ್ರ ತಕ್ಕನಂಗೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕೂಡ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. A higher tax GDP. So this ratio means higher tax GDP ratio. It gives more room in the government budgets so that it can spend more without borrowing. So if there's a higher tax in the GDP, means the government will have more money in the budget. So when more tax has been collected, the government will have more money and it can spend the money without even borrowing from the World Bank. So ಈ ಒಂದು ಹೈಯರ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಜಿ ಡಿ ಪಿಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ದುಡ್ಡು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ, ಸೊ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಯಾರಿಂದನೂ ಸಾಲ ಪಡೆದಲೇನೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. Before the implementation of GST, the income tax department didn't had the access to data which is filed under state VAT rules. So before the GST was brought, it was many indirect taxes were implemented in India. So that time what happened, each business were filing the IT returns. So whatever the tax they have collected, they were filing it to under VAT rules. Whatever the value added tax rules were there, accordingly they were filing it. But what had happened, this income tax department didn't had any access to this data. So how much ever they have paid tax, they were considering that only as a tax collected. But many business was cheating. So due to this, many businesses were cheating. So they were hiding their profit in order to reduce their tax liability, due to which the government was not able to collect the actual tax. So ಈ ಒಂದು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಈ ಏನೇನು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಆ ಒಂದು ಡೇಟಾ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಆ ಡೇಟಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗೋದು, ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ಗಳು ಚೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದೇ ಒಂದು, ಬಟ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಕಟ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಿದೆ ಒಂದು ಕಟ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ಗಳು ಚೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ಸ್ನ ಹೆಡ್ ಮಾಡೋರು, ಈ ರೀತಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಡೀತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಇದು ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಬರೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ. Now GSTN means GST number will be the single repository to all these transactions, and the income tax department will have access to such data, thus having a clear picture of the total sales and the purchases and eventually the overall profitability of every business. In this way, direct tax of GDP ratio will improve. But now after the implementation of GST number has come for every businesses. Every businesses has to register in GST portal and they need to get a GSTN number which is linked with PAN number. So with GSTN number, whatever the purchases, whatever the sales they make, they should upload all those things without fail in the GST portal. Now the income tax department is having access to this GST portal. So now they can calculate what is the total sales, total purchases. Based on this, they've been knowing the profit of the business. Now it will be easy for them to collect the taxes. Nobody can escape from the tax. So this GDP ratio will improve. ಈಗ ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಬಂದಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಅಂಡರ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ನಂಬರ್ನ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಈ ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಪೋರ್ಟಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೇಲ್ಸು ಪರ್ಚೇಸಸ್ ಏನೇನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ಸು ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನ ಆ ಪೋರ್ಟಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇದರಿಂದ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡೇಟಾ ಇದೆ. ಯಾವ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸೇಲ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಸೇಲ್ಸ್ ಮೈನಸ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಆದಾಗ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಂದ ಎಸ್ಕೇಪ್ ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟು ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಷ್ಟು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇದರಿಂದ GDP ರೇಷಿಯೋ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Next, under GST law, every invoice will get uploaded into GST portal. GST will ensure 100% reconciliation of sale invoice of the supplier and the purchase invoice of the buyer. So far, returns filed under VAT law or GST law do not require validation from the buyer. So we can expect more accurate value being reported under the new regime. So what happens? This is a seller and this is a buyer. So now what has happened? Before the GST come, only seller had to give the bill. From buyer, they were not taking the bill. But after GST came, the seller also need to upload its invoice and buyer also needs to upload its invoice in the GST portal. So what happens when both have uploaded, they can verify from each other. So under this, the full validation reconciliation will go on. So this will increase the indirect tax to GDP ratio. So that time, if any of the seller, if he is hiding any invoices, he will get caught because buyer will be uploading it. ಸೊ ಬಿಫೋರ್ GST ಬರೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಹೆಂಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂದರೆ, ಸೆಲ್ಲರ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಬಿಲ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ವಾಯ್ಸಸ್ಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಬೈಯರ್ ತೋರಿಸಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಡೀತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಬಟ್ GST ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಬೈಯರ್ ಅವ್ನು ಯಾವ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾನೆ, ಯಾವ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಗೆ GST ಕಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾನೋ ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿಲ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ GST ಪೋರ್ಟಲಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಸೆಲ್ಲರ್ ಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಬೈಯರ್ ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ಅಂತ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ರೀಕನ್ಸಿಲಿಯೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಸೆಲ್ಲರ್ ತಗ್ಲಾಕೋತಾನೆ, ಸಪ್ಲೈಯರ್ ತಗ್ಲಾಕೋತಾನೆ. ಸೊ ಇದರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನ್ಯಾಯವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ನ ಕಟ್ತಾರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಕ್ಯುರೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವರು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಇದರಿಂದ ಇಂಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರೇಟ್ GDP ರೇಷಿಯೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Second benefit is it improve the fiscal health of the states. GST will result in additional revenue through simple and easier tax administration with the help of information technology. With the help of this information technology, they have designed a new portal. With the help of this new portal, it has become a very simple and easier portal so that the government can have a watch on all the invoices, everything. ಸೊ ಈ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿಯ ಸಹಾಯದಿಂದ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಈಸಿ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಪೋರ್ಟಲ್ನ ಸಹಾಯದಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಸೇಲ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, GST regime will increase the shareable pool of resources resulting in transfer of funds to states for developmental work. So what happens in GST? There are two types. One is central GST and state GST. The central GST will distribute, when distribution is happening, central GST will take its portion and state government will take its portion. So shareable pool of resources. So whatever the tax they have collected, it is divided among the central level and state level. So what happens? The state will also have fund in hands. With that fund, the state can use those funds for developmental work and it can develop the state. ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಈಗ GST ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇದರಿಂದ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ಗಳ ಒಂದು ಸಹಾಯದಿಂದ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಸ್ಗಳಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಈ ರೀತಿ ಅನೇಕ ವರ್ಕ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಗಳು ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಇದು ಒಂದು ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು. Next, under GST, central cess will be subsumed into the GST and in turn increase the divisible pool of resources, which is to the advantage of states. This is because the cess is levied by the central government for a specific purpose like education cess to fund SSA. SSA means it is Sarva Shikshana Abhiyana. So to fund this Abhiyana, they are putting a cess, means additional tax on education. The proceeds, means whatever the tax they are collecting, only go to central government. But these cess are subsumed under GST and GST is collected by both central government and state government. Hence, state revenue shall increase. It is very simple. So before GST has come, whatever the education cess they were collecting, means taxes on education, it was solely collected by the central government. Only central government was collecting it. So for state government, it was no share was coming. But now after GST has come, it is the share is getting divided between central government as well as state government. So even state government is also having state is having certain revenue. ಮುಂಚೆ ಈ ಸರ್ವ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಅಭಿಯಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಫಂಡ್ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಸೆಸ್ ನ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ತರ. ಆ ಬರೋ ದುಡ್ಡು ಏನೇ ಇದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಬಟ್ ಈಗ GST ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಬರೋ ದುಡ್ಡು ಈಕ್ವಲಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಬ್ಬರ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಅದು ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, another aspect of GST is it is a destination based tax. This means that proceeds from tax collection are appropriated by the state in which final sale is made, irrespective of state in which the product is manufactured. This aspect of GST will improve the fiscal health of poorest states. For example, UP, Bihar, MP, who are large consumers, it will benefit those states. So it is a destination based tax, means where the consumer is purchasing the product, there the tax is levied. For example, the product is getting manufactured in A state and it is getting sold in B state, means B state will be collecting the tax. So where it is getting consumed, there only the tax will be collected. So what happens? There are some poor states like UP, Bihar and MP who are large consumers. So where large consumers means there they are paying more tax. So that particular state will get more revenue. So it will help them in the development of those states. ಈ GST ಒಂದು ಡೆಸ್ಟಿನೇಷನ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ GST ನ ಹಾಕಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇಲ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಬಂದು ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ಆ ಒಂದು ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ GST ಅನ್ನ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಈ ಪುವರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಗಳಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ MP, UP, ಬಿಹಾರ್, ಇವ್ರುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮರ್ಸ್, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮರ್ಸ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಗಿಂತ ಕನ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅಂತವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ GST ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ರೆವೆನ್ಯೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಂತ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ರೆವೆನ್ಯೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ರೆವೆನ್ಯೂ ಏನೇನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಆ ರೆವೆನ್ಯೂ ಸಹಾಯದಿಂದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಇದು ಒಂದು ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್. Presently, the central government levies gamut on taxes, means scope. Gamut means scope taxes like excise duty, service tax, CST, state levy tax on retail sales, entry tax, luxury tax, etc. Large number of tax created high compliance cost. Like more guidelines was there, so more costlier it became. So in the form of number of returns, payments, etc. All these issues created a need for one tax that will be able to mitigate number of problems to a large extent and the ease of doing business which is done. So what happened is, before the GST came, before even the GST was introduced, there were many central taxes and many sales tax. So it was very difficult for the taxpayer to handle all these taxes. So this made the need for the GST. After this GST has come, it has become easy for everyone to pay the tax and to collect the tax also. ಈ ಒಂದು GST ಬರೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ವೇರಿಯಸ್ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್ಗಳು ಇತ್ತು. ಇದರಿಂದಾಗಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಬೇಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗೋದು. ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ನ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ನ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇದು ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗೋದು. ಬಟ್ ಈಗ GST ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಒನ್ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಈ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬಹಳ ಈಸಿ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಅಷ್ಟು ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್ ಏನಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಈ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡೋದು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ways in which GST would facilitate ease of doing business. First is simpler tax regime with fewer exemptions. So it is very one single tax, if they pay it is enough, so it is easy. Then reduction in the multiplicity of taxes that are present and governing an indirect tax system leading to simplification and uniformity. So whole country will follow only one tax system. So it is become simplified. So ಮುಂಚಿನ ತರ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್, ರಿಟೇಲರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು, ಹೋಲ್ಸೇಲರ್ ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದು, ಆ ತರ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮರೇ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಂದು ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ. ಸೊ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಇನ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಮಲ್ಟಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಹಸ್ ಬಿನ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಂಪ್ಟೆಡ್, ದ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ come down. Next, no multiple records keeping for variety of taxes, so lesser investment of resources and manpower in maintaining records. Before, On all taxes, separate book of records have to be maintained. For that maintaining of records, one person had to be appointed. But now no need to maintain everything. All has been digitalized. The portal has been made. So this has helped in saving the resources and saving the manpower requirement. Next, more efficient neutralization of taxes, especially for exports, thereby making our product more competitive in the international market and give boost to Indian export. So more efficient neutralization of taxes. So whatever the taxes they are made, it is more neutralized, it is balanced, especially exports and imports. So this has given an international standard for our products. Next, simplified and automated procedures for various processes such as registration, returns, refunds, tax payments, etc. So whatever we have, that is uh, a registration process, a refund process, returns process, and tax payments, everything has been easily, they have what they have told, they have made it automated process, so it is easy, so there is no much thing needed. Everything they have made it in an easier way. On one portal is the unique portal. In that only you have to register. In that only returns you have to, and what you say, file it up everything. So it has been easier. Next, all interactions to be through the common GSTN portal. So less public interface between tax authorities and taxpayers. So no need middlemen and all. Directly with the help of your GST number, you can put all the details in the portal. Timelines to be provided for important activities like obtaining registration and refunds. So for registering your business and refund of tax or tax payment, the time limit will be given. So within that you can pay or register about your taxes. Next, it has helped in even in logistics. Logistics is considered to be the backbone of manufacturing and trading activities. Logistic is nothing but the process, like from transporting goods from one point of origin to the point of consumption. That whole planning, that process is known as logistics. It is a backbone of manufacturing and trading activities in the economy. It is a main backbone of all these activities. It has a critical role to play for developing country like India. We are still developing countries. For us, logistics plays a very important role. It can be fairly assumed that a well-organized and mature logistic industry has a potential to leapfrog the Make in India initiative to the desired position. So, with the help of this logistic industry, we can initiate this Make in India initiative. So far, logistic players in India have been maintained multiple warehouses across the state. So this logistic players will be having multiple warehouses across the state. ಈ ಲಾಜಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಹೆಡ್ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಅವರು ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ವೇರ್ಹೌಸಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಸೆಟಪ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಟು ಅವಾಯ್ಡ್ ದ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಸೇಲ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್. ಇದರಿಂದ ಅವ್ರೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಟಿಗೆ ರವಾನಿಸುವಂಥ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳಿರಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಸಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿಗಳನ್ನ ಎಸ್ಕೇಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ವೇರ್ಹೌಸಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. Most of the warehouses are operating below their capacity. So whatever the capacity of warehouses is below that they are operating, and thus adding to their operation inefficiency. Before that, due to this, what happens? They're inefficient. They're not utilizing the complete warehouse. On the other hand, movements of the truck carrying goods takes a lot of time, mainly due to the stoppage at state checkpoints for payment of taxes. India has approximately 600 checkpoints. So in India, total 600 checkposts are there. So what happens? This truck, when it is passing from one state to another state, they will of course put a toll and stop it in order, because they have to pay the tax. So long queue of trucks will stand on the road. This is consuming more time for the trucks. Deliveries are getting late. ಸೊ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ 600ಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ಗಳಿದೆ. ಈ ಟ್ರಕ್ಸ್ಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ಡೆಲಿವರಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಚೆಕ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಹೋಗಿ ಅದು ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಯೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಇಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮಿಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರು ಇನ್ಎಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಮಾರ್ತ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಆಫ್ ರೋಡ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹೈವೇ ಸ್ಟಡಿ, a typical truck spends nearly 16% of the time at checkposts. A truck in India covers an annual distance of only 85,000 kilometers as compared to 150,000 and 2 lakh kilometers in advanced country. So what happens? This Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, they have done a study On that, they have revealed that these trucks are spending 16% time on the check post. Means the whatever the time they are taking, in the 16% they are spending in this check posts. So usually in the advanced countries, a truck will run 1,50,000 to 2 lakh kilometers in an year. But in India, we are running only 85 kilometers, which is half. Because of this 16% time based. Goods carriage vehicles in India barely travel 280 km per day against the world average of 400 km per day. So whole other developed countries are traveling 400 km per day trucks. But in India it's only 280 km per day. ಈಗ ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಚೆಕ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೊತ್ತು ಟ್ರಕ್ಗಳು ನಿಂತಾ ಇದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಬೇರೆ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿಗಳಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ 1,50,000 ಇಂದ 2,00,000 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಗಳು ಗಾಡಿ ಓಡ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಒಂದ್ ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ 85,000 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಟ್ರಕ್ಗಳು ಓಡಾಡ್ತಿದೆ. ಇದರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಟೈಮ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. So, under this GST, India will become one single market wherein goods can freely move interstate without any levy. So, no need to stand in queue. Many companies are expected to migrate from a current strategy of multiple warehousing to a hub and spoke model, and a tax treatment across India will be same. So, what happens when after this GST has come, whole country is following a single tax system. So no need to stop in the check post. So easily they can go from one state to another state. So this helps the companies from multiple warehouses to create the hubs. ಸೊ ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಬಂದಾಗ್ಲಿಂದ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ಒನ್ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇಡೀ ಕಂಟ್ರಿಲಿ ರನ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಚೆಕ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಲ್ಲ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಇಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟಿಗೆ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ. ಇದರಿಂದ ಟೈಮ್ ಕೂಡ ಸೇವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೂಡ ಗಾಡಿ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ನ ಕೊಡಬಹುದು. Next, boost to Make in India. Make in India is an initiative. How this GST helps in Make in India initiative? GST will give a major boost to the government of India's Make in India initiative by making goods or services produced or provided in India competitive in the national and international markets. The currently prevalent country veiling duty CVD on imported goods will be replaced under GST regime by IGST, integrated GST, which is simply the sum total of central GST plus state GST. This will bring parity in taxation on domestic and imported products and thereby provide protection to the domestic industry. So what happens due to this GST? What happens is it is the market. India is able to compete with the international markets. So before they were putting CVD, now that has been again merged into GST only, that is integrated GST. Integrated GST is nothing but the sum total of state GST as well as central GST. So it has become unified, it has become easy. So our competition we can give with the international markets also. This will help Make in India initiative. ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಬಂದಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇಡೀ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ನ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಎಕಾನಮಿ ಯುನಿಫೈಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಗೆ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡುವಂತಹ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂಚೆ ಸಿ ವಿ ಡಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಿವೇಲಿಂಗ್ ಕೌಂಟರ್ ವೇಲಿಂಗ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿನ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದು, ಕೌಂಟರ್ ವೇಲಿಂಗ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಅಂತ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇಂಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇದು. ಬಟ್ ಇವಾಗ ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರೇಟೆಡ್ ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಅಂತ. ಈ ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರೇಟೆಡ್ ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಇಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಯೂನಿಫೈಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು ಸಹಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. Next, it is clear that GST is not only a tax reform but a structural reform which will change the trajectory of the growth, as it will improve the fiscal capacity of state, which would ensure that they do not have to fall back on borrowings to the fiscal deficit. And for businesses, it will make doing businesses relatively easy, which along with changes in logistics sector will improve export competitiveness of India's product and may put India on the path of export lead growth. So first we saw that it will help in the GDP, means which will give fund to the state also, in which state development can also be done. Next we just saw about the logistics, means exports and import will be made more competitiveness. So this will help India to compete with the international market. So first ನಾವೇನ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಜಿ ಡಿ ಪಿ ರೇಷಿಯೋ. ಜಿ ಡಿ ಪಿ ರೇಷಿಯೋ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಹೈಯರ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಬಂತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಗೂ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಫಂಡ್ ನ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಗೂ ಇದರಿಂದ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಲಾಜಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಟ್ರಕ್ಗಳು ಟೈಮ್ ಸೇವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇಂಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ಗಳು ಬೇಗ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿಯಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಂಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಇಂಟರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಸೇಲ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಬೇಗ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಟಿವ್ನೆಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇದು ಮೇಕ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ಕೂಡ ಸಹಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. Hope you have understood the macroeconomic effect of the GST. In my next video, I'll come back with the rationale of GST. I'll come back with the rationale of GST. If you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the bell icon. So whenever I post new lecture videos, so you will automatically get the notification immediately when I have uploaded. Thank you for watching the video. In next video, I'll get back. If you have any doubts, please put all your doubts in the comments. We are really happy to help you out in clearing your doubts. Thank you. If you have any queries regarding today's session, kindly send your queries to education.mbroadcast@gmail.com.